This week on Garden Time, we get into the holiday spirit with our large list of gifts for the gardener. If you're having troubles finding something for your local green thumb, we have plenty of ideas. We bring the ho-ho-ho and other gift ideas to you next on Garden Time. Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru in Salem, Oregon.
Start your new Subaru story at Capital Subaru. We are like nothing else in Oregon. From the moment you step through these doors, you see it, you feel it. We do things differently here. Our people, our culture, our customer experience. Tell us what you're looking for and we'll upgrade the way you shop for Subarus. When you're just browsing, need great service, or starting your next adventure, we're always here for you. It's your story at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome to the Garden Time Podcast. We're based in the Pacific Northwest of the United States in a Zone 7 region. This deals with plants that can survive at approximately 0 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. I'm producer Jeff Gustin with your hosts Judy Alaruzo and Ryan Seeley. Welcome to Garden Time. Today we are at Al's in Sherwood, Al's Garden and Home, and we're thanking them for letting us kind of hang out. And once again, we thank Capital Subaru in Salem for supporting our wonderful show. We are talking the holidays, and the holidays for the gardener and the people who love the gardener can be tough. So today we're going to talk about gifts for the gardener. And a lot of these are specific to the Pacific Northwest and possibly even to Al's. But you can find very similar ideas at your local independent garden center in whatever community you live in. So today we have a whole bunch here. We have a list. We've made our list. We're checking it twice. And we're going to talk about some of these things. And Judy has pulled some stuff from the shelves here at Al's that deal with our friends,
the birds.
The birds. And so I'm going to have you guys go ahead and start talking about some of the ideas. I'm going to flip sides, and you guys can be over there. And let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what you pulled. So.
All right. Well, you know, I think the birds are in our gardens all summer long, all spring long, because there's blooming things and there's food for them or nectar. But, you know, as we get into colder weather, there's nothing. So what about a bird feeder for that friend and seeds? So you make like a packet. I love getting those kind of gifts where it's all the pieces are together. And then this time of year, too, up here we're cold and wet, and so suet is really good because it's that high fat for birds. And then hummingbirds, we're very lucky up here too. We have hummingbirds.
Right, but like you said, you know, there's a lot of the plant material that's, you know, blooming in the summertime and the springtime. We don't have that blooming, so it is important to keep those little birds in mind.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't have a garden center that has all the bird supplies, there's a lot of, I know in our area there's bird supply companies, and probably in your area too.
Yeah, so Backyard Bird
Shop.
And they can also help, because you mentioned feeders. There are specific seeds and feed for various types of birds that are in your areas. So you may want to go online or check like Backyard Bird Shop here in Portland to find out what seeds your animals will be eating.
Exactly, and squirrels. I think a lot of people love to feed the squirrels too. And you know, for that really enthusiast or to get into a bird watching, a pair of binoculars. I mean, that's a lovely gift for someone, and to just give them that nudge to get out into the wild, into nature, and to watch birds in their native habitat.
Get out, forget about it. It's freezing. I'm in my PJs.
You're sitting inside by the fire looking
out the window. Well, some of us like to go.
But it's also, you know, I think we're going to talk about books in a little bit, but there's a lot of great books out there that talk about birds with the pictures and that are guided just for your area. Because, you know, every area, either here in the Pacific Northwest or across the United States, is going to have some birds that need to be fed, that you can kind of learn about what's going on.
Exactly, and I love playing that. It's like you find a new bird and you kind of look for it. And this time of year, you might have a new bird that isn't here in the summer or the springtime.
Yeah, so even if you're kind of a new getting into birding, lots for the new gardener, or, you know, if you've been in it for a long time, there's still great gifts for the gardener.
And I noticed you had the hummingbird
the
bottle
nectar
of nectar. You can buy it pre-made, or you can make your own. There's numerous recipes out there. The big controversy a few years ago was adding red dye. People think that red attracts the hummingbirds. They really are attracted to just the food.
They're very smart.
And the dye doesn't do any good for them. And then we start getting into, you know, maybe a little bit later, so you can give these gifts at Christmas time. But when you get into spring, you need to start thinking about the next season, and you have pulled out some stuff.
Right. So after we've kind of moved out of the winter, we're looking at, we're sitting around, we're reading our seed catalogs over the winter time, looking at, okay, what are we going to do with our gardening? It's a great time to start thinking about that and what we're going to be planting and doing some seeding for the garden. The seed packets are going to be coming out. Granted, it's always too cold to be putting those out that time of year, but there's some really great items that you can use to give yourself a little bit jump start on the garden. So we have one here. This is kind of a plastic tray, and inside the tray has the little kind of the jumbo little peat pellets. And so those little peat pellets are great because you can sprinkle your seeds in there and you water them. They kind of puff up, kind of like those little sponges, and they have everything you need in there after you water them to puff up. And then it comes with a little dome. So it's a pretty inexpensive way to create like a little greenhouse effect to get the seed started. And then once you're done, you can just transfer those little peat discs right into the ground or into the next size container.
Yeah, in case you don't, Santa did not bring you that greenhouse.
Yeah.
This
Right,
is a
right,
substitute
right,
for
yeah.
it.
But I noticed too, you also have some brand new soil. And the importance of not using just dirt soil from your garden and using a sterile soil that's been formulated.
Right, and this is a good seedling mix, because you don't want to, when you're digging that soil out or using something out of your compost bin and you're bringing it inside and putting it in, you're going to be bringing in some pest, bugs, and diseases and you don't want to overwinter those with it. So it is important to be starting with that, a good bag of designed seedling mix that's going to be clean for that purpose.
When do you guys start your planting? We start, because of the previous TV show, we would always start like the middle of February. So we would have seedlings when we did the story.
Right.
But when do you normally start planting?
Yeah, I think a little bit later, because then I don't have to worry about them getting so stretched. You have that cool light. I don't have a light, so I do it a little bit later than that because I'm relying on light from outdoors. So,
Right.
And I think there's that window. You have, March. I don't think is too late at all.
And it kind of depends on where you are too, as far as
sure.
your frost dates. I mean, if you're say over in East or Central Oregon, your season does not start until May or June,
Yeah.
right? So you don't want to be starting your seeds in January, then trying to hold them until June until you can plant. Right. So it is kind of important to pay attention to where you are located, when your frost dates are, and when your ground temperatures start warming up.
So I've heard about 6 weeks generally, depending on where you live, before your last frost date. Yep. And we also noticed that we have a heating mat here, which is great because bottom heat actually promotes that growth. So sometimes you can even wait a little longer to start your seeds if you have this heat. So.
Right, and by having the heat mat, what that does is creates the heat on the bottom, so it's promoting the rooting on the bottom to draw the roots down and promote that. So
he works as a grower. With the grower.
Yeah, so it's a good thing. Or if you're doing cuttings, is that too. But there's also the seed packets. Because there's you start your vegetable seeds. There's all sorts of perennials that you can start, and on the backs of the perennials or any of the seed packets will tell you the germination rates. Or if you're sowing them inside, and give you a lot of good information.
Definitely.
And so when you're doing those seed packets, we've talked about this on previous shows, you always want to look for seed packets that are packaged for the year that you want fresh seed. You don't want to be going through your garden shed. Oh, look, these are 10 years old. Your germination really is not. You might get some, but it's not going to be old. So make sure you look for some fresh seeds. They make a really great stocking stuffer too.
And the thing about all these seed starting supplies is, as a gift giver, you can wrap each one of these individually.
It looks like a lot.
And it looks like a lot, and it's a gardener is just going to be happier to see that. You also have the Wall of Water, the season starter plant protector. So what does that accomplish?
Well, I think we all want to jumpstart on the season, and so you get those tomato plants, and it's April, and it's like tomatoes are not happy in April. I don't know, maybe in Arizona or Texas or somewhere where it's warmer, but not here in the Northwest. So this is so cool. It's plastic, and it has like these little funnels around the edges, and you fill it with water. It's a very easy system. It's so you fill it with water, and then you close it up. You put it around the plant outside. So your tomato plant is going to be in the center, and this is kind of ring around the rosy.
Right.
And then the heat from the sun will warm up that water, and then you kind of close it up and make like a little tent, and then it keeps it warm overnight. It even kind of warms up that soil underneath for root growth, and then in the daytime, time you kind of open it up so it gets some air circulation, but it really, really helps during those really cold nights in transition in April. And I've seen people that leave them on all the time because the nights can get cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so until like July, and their tomatoes are growing out of it and they're like 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice little
That
thing.
does give you a good
Yeah.
kind of a jump start, just a
And-
insulated little
Yes.
thing.
And sometimes, you don't buy that for yourself. And
No,
so when you give it
that's
as a
true.
gift, it's kind of nice. It's one of those things that's like, I got to try this.
Right.
Yeah. When we first got ours, we used them the first year. It's like, yeah, whatever. And then the next year, we're like going, where did they go? Because you get used to being able to put your tomatoes in a little sooner and have that additional
Right.
heat from that little protection. Tools, always a huge thing.
Tools are great, and it's
yeah.
tools. There is such a wide range of tools. There are so many tool makers. We've done some great stories in the past with hand forged, really nice tools. You can buy some introductory tools, and I think it's important as to anything that we're talking about here. It depends on what your budget
Right.
is, and who you're buying for. There's always entry level for the new gardener if you don't have a large budget to spend, but then there's always the products up on the higher end of things that you can pay some good money for them. One of them that as I'm looking at are the Felco pruners. Felcos have been around a very long time. They are very well made. I've had my pair for over 25 years. Last forever, but they're pricey.
Right,
they are
right.
definitely the higher end product.
Definitely you get what you pay for.
You do,
Yeah,
right?
especially in any
Oh.
tool. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And so that might be something that you may save up your money to splurge or do, or have that really great family
gift.
member that you want to gift, or gift it to yourself.
Yeah.
But the high ends. But you can get some introductory level ones that are definitely not as high priced and look similar and do the job. But so you just kind of tailor what you're looking for. But the Felcos do make a great gift. These happen to have the rotating
Oh, nice.
handle on there. So as you're cutting, for those that have maybe don't have as much grip strength, when it rotates with you, you're not working against it. So it's a little bit more
Little ergonomic, yeah.
Yeah,
today.
definitely.
I would recommend, because they also come up with the protector that you can put on your belt. I have many of my garden pants that have holes in the pockets because I put my
You put your sharp clippers in the back
Yep,
pocket,
yep,
and
of
over time they
course.
just
yeah.
poke out the
And
bottom.
then I have to rely on the red handles to find them.
Right.
Because
If
Or
you
I-
can.
yeah.
I've done it where I put them in my back pocket. I go hop in the car, and you poke a hole in your seat in your car.
Oh,
So
that's bad, yeah.
keep a little sheath or something
Yeah.
like that with them.
Wow.
Another couple. There are some other good tools. That just happens to be a good hand pruners. But there are some basic tools that are good to kind of round out, just to have around the house. So why don't you tell us a couple of these other ones here, Judy, your favorites here.
Since we're talking about pokey things, it's like this is a hori knife, and I think we talk about this, and it's one of our favorites all around. And it's just a great knife. You don't have to take your great Henkels from your kitchen out to the garden and ruin them and be in big trouble with other people in your family. But it's really great for digging, for cutting through roots. It's got a serrated edge there, and it has an orange handle, so you don't lose it in the garden. Hopefully it's not in the compost pile, and it's a really good blade. It's not going to get rusty, and it's just really a good handhold on it, and I think it's one of those tools that does a lot of different things. I've even used it to make like little furrows to put seeds in, and you can use it if you didn't bring out your trowel. So it's kind of one of those tools that it'll do many things.
Yes. And so if you're not able to see it or know what a hori is, it's kind of like a trowel shape, but it's not as spooned shape. So it's a little bit flatter, and then one edge, like you said, is serrated, and then it kind of comes to a pointy tip. So if you need to dig it into soil and work it around to maybe cut roots, dig out weeds, dig out things, works really, really well for that. And it's very sturdy, so you can do a little bit of prying with it. also.
Definitely.
And that brings it up. We talked about the trowel.
trowel.
There's more trowels out there than as many people as there are styles of trowels. But just a good basic scoop if you're trying to scoop up, soil or do a little light digging or something like that. A good trowel is always nice to have
And
too.
the one tip on the trowels is that a lot of times you'll find them and it's a two-piece trowel. So which means that where the blade attaches to the handle, sometimes it's just folded metal, and it will easily, you will put a little torque on that and your handle will snap right off or bend completely back. This one here, is a Corona one. It's all one piece with the handle on the end. So that means that you can put as much torque as you want on this. The only other place I've seen something that's been this well made is Red Pig Tools. Seth is great. He's a blacksmith. He makes them. Once again, a little bit more expensive, but we have Red Pig Tools that we've been using for years and years and years. So
yeah, and I just think if you want to get that extra special, again, it's an extra special kind of tool, and he has so many different kinds, and actually he'll ask you how tall you are if you're getting a longer handle tool, so that it fits that person, and so you're not tiring yourself out because you have the wrong tool. I mean, we've learned so many things from Garden Time, from past shows. So go to the archive and look up Red Pig Tools, and you can get all of this kind of primer on what to look for when you're looking for good tools.
Right. Yeah. And then the big boy, we got a huge pruning
saw. We like to cut things, you know. That's cutting things always fun, and there's another one of those, lots of different types of saws. This one, you know, is by Felco. It's a small sheath. It's probably about a 12-inch blade. The nice thing about this, it's kind of the large tooth for a limb saw. So it's kind of a nice size. Comes in its own little sheath where you can put it onto your belt loop again if you want to. So if you're around a yard and you have branches that, you know, beyond the size of what you want to do for a pair of handheld clippers, it's nice to have a little pruning saw with you. You know, sometimes this is a solid blade. You can get them where they fold up, but it's, you know, nice for, you know, if you're taking down, you know, a couple inch size limb or smaller limbs, it's, you know, cuts the work out.
I've seen somebody actually try to use like a carpenter saw, and the teeth are very fine a lot of times, and you're up on a ladder and you want to get the job done as quickly as possible. And that's where this saw comes in. And once again, with tools, you also want to have all the safety equipment. You know, don't do it in shorts and short sleeves. Have long pants and long sleeves on. Sometimes even wearing safety goggles is recommended for some of these tools.
You know, and a lot of these tools, you know, when you're making the investment, it's important to remember to, you know, take care of them. Right. You know, if you're the type that likes to go leave them down in the dirt and the mud and forget about them, and 3 weeks later you find them in your compost pile or whatever. But, you know, some just basic maintenance of, you know, keeping them sharp, keeping them clean, will make these tools last a lifetime.
So Judy, you brought up a point about long-handled tools. Another great gift for the gardener. What would be your recommendations for buying a long-handled tool for people?
I think there's kind of basic ones, and it depends on what kind of gardening you're doing, but I think that you need a hoe, you need a spade, which a spade is a shovel with a pointy edge, it's not the flat edge, and then maybe a fork, which the tines are great when you're breaking up soil. Sometimes a long-handed weeder are nice. You're not down on the ground trying to get those weeds, and you're like a winged weeder, which are so nice. It's that angled blade that really gets in there. So I think those are like four of the basics, and then you can go from there. And rakes,
rakes,
different rakes.
I'd have a couple of, you know, like a leaf rake or landscape rake. You know, I do have a metal tined one,
right?
A plastic
Oh,
tined
of course,
one,
yeah.
Of course, and a landscape one for if I'm pulling gravel or something.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think I have 3 different rakes, but you know, they all have their own purposes, and it depends on what you're doing in your yard.
And I think that's true. Is like, you really, if you're buying this gift for someone you love, they really have a certain way of gardening. And knowing them means you know a little bit about how they garden, and start dropping hints now. I mean, it's like, so we're, you know, here in November, and we want to make sure that you get the right gift. But you can also, a lot of times, I'm not so sure about ordering online, but if you go to your local independent garden center, you can always bring the tool back and exchange it or find something.
Right.
It's the thought that counts.
It is,
so,
it is. Yeah. And you know, we're at our independent garden centers buying plants all the time, so it's like another one-stop shop.
It is.
I mean, like here at Al's, there's Christmas here, but there's still so many things you can get for that gardener or for yourself.
Right. And I'm sure you still have your tools. They're still out in display because they do make a great gift.
So this is just part. What we're going to do now is we'll take a little bit of a break. We're going to hear from Capital Subaru. And when we come back, we'll continue and give you even a few more items. So we'll be right back.
At Capital Subaru, we value your time, whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team. Everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
And welcome back to Garden Time. Today we are talking about Christmas gifts, and I'm holding a gnome. If only I'd known what to get the gardener in my life. This is one of those whimsical things, and you can, gardeners love whimsy, so I mean garden art is something that you can also look at. And Garden Gallery Ironworks, some of the places that we were looking at before, those there are places that we could, find that kind of garden art. So, so Judy, we have what is the perfect gift for the gardener.
Oh my gosh, this is Chief Joseph. It's a lodgepole pine, and this is one of the coolest plants.
It's like the Cadillac of
plants.
It
is, and I think any gardener would just love to have this because you might not want to buy it for yourself. It is a little bit more pricey. This is the coolest plant though. So this time of year, it is kind of chartreuse yellow gold.
It just glows.
It just glows. And it's a pine, so it's got the long needles like a pine. This plant itself, it's maybe about 20 inches by 15, 20 inches. They're going to get bigger, but what's cool is it's almost two plants in one, because when it gets warm, it's going to just be a green foliage plant, and it'll just be a beautiful plant in your garden and your landscape. But then comes the cold weather, it's going to start turning this beautiful kind of golden chartreuse. And it was discovered in the Oregon Wallowa Mountains. Someone found it there, and it's a lodgepole pine, kind of a sport, I guess you would say it is. And but it's something very, very special, and it's a little souvenir of Oregon and kind of our heritage. So really a beautiful plant. But there's all kinds of plants at any of your independent garden centers.
But I even like it. You have it in this really nice blue glazed pot.
It is
really pops.
Yeah.
And pottery is another one.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
If you're looking for a gift for the gardener, I have a hard time. I got pots on my patio, but it's one of those purchases that you kind of don't really want to make all the time for yourselves.
Sure.
That you'd be happy to get a nice new ceramic pot, and that blue pot with that bright yellow Chief Joseph looks really
and
nice.
you can fill your pot with all kinds of different stuff. If you don't know what kind of plant, you can always leave that up to the gardener. I notice you have, for people that don't have the room for a pine, we also have a couple other smaller plants here. And so what is this in front here?
Oh, so hellebores. And so this is one of the newer hellebores on the market. It's called Ice and Roses Merlot. Yep. And the flowers are just like that wine that you love so much, that Merlot wine. It's that deep, deep burgundy color. Right. It's gorgeous. And then the stems on the evergreen foliage are also burgundy, and it has this beautiful evergreen green foliage. And these are shade plants. Usually you can take morning sun, afternoon shade. They're hardy to -20, so they're pretty hardy for many places across the United States. They are winter bloomers, so that's great. It's a nice remembrance when you give a plant like that. It's a nice remembrance of the holidays. Not too much is blooming out there this time of year.
So because they also, other names are Lenten rose or Christmas rose.
And
so, this guy actually has buds on it right now. So some of these varieties do bloom around the holiday, so which would make another really nice gift. Blooming gift. If you want to give somebody that's flowering, hellebore, and there's some really pretty white ones.
Yeah, the white ones are gorgeous too. Yeah. And you can even bring them indoors. They're beautiful floating in a pretty bowl. Yep. So you bring the outdoors inside. So it's just a lovely plant for the plant people in your life.
Yes. Yeah, excellent. And Ryan, you have an indoor plant.
I do have an indoor plant. This is an Anthurium. Anthuriums have been around for a long time. If you don't see it, it's got the real kind of it's almost a leathery, waxy look, and this has kind of a big paddle bloom with the white little
spadix.
Okay,
you have a new word.
Spadix. And so there's this is the typical red, and you'll see whites and you'll see reds, but there are some really fun different colors that are coming out that are burgundies and wine colors, and Judy was telling me about a tricolored one that's like what you say, white and green and pink all on one bloom. So so as you're doing that, but it's a house plant, and it's house plants are all the rage, and there's lots of great things out there. But it's one of those that makes a great gift. You know, just about everybody's got a place that they can put a house plant, you know, in their home or their office or their workplace, wherever. And it's just kind of a nice, if you're going somewhere and need a little hostess gift, or you know, you want to go get the Thai constellation for somebody. If you want to buy
that's
one
a
of
nice
those, if
gift.
you really like them. But you know, there is anything and everything in between. Where a nice little pot, a nice little thing, a houseplant really makes a nice gift.
Oh, definitely.
But you know, we've talked on the show before about how houseplants are such a hot thing in the garden centers now. And some people are saying, well, they're cooling off. But really, there's a whole portion of the population who aren't into the plant collecting, and houseplants are a viable option for them as well as gifts.
Right.
So,
and there's a lot of collector items out there
right.
versus, you know, your basics, you know, starter plants and collector plants, and you know, you can make a really great gift with the plant, and you find a pot, or you know, you can have a little watering can to go along with it, or a house plant book, or you know, there's so much you can do if you want to make a big package out of it, or get bags that's
cool.
you can use the whole house plant.
We have a plant that doesn't have anything at all.
This is a DIY plant.
This is an amaryllis.
Amaryllis,
And
yeah.
there are new varieties of those that are coming out as well, because people are used to the deep reds or the whites or the pinks. And there's some that I notice on this tag here that it is a striped amaryllis. And so it comes as a bulb in a pot, but you have to do all the planting and watering, correct?
Yeah, and so I think it's kind of a learning gift.
Yeah.
You know, for sometimes people say, oh, I have such a brown thumb, but it really has all the directions, it has all the pieces and parts. And it takes maybe 6 to 8 weeks to get those blooms, but they're really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, the stems will come up, and they're huge stems with huge buds, and then the foliage comes, and it'll last a long time. And it's really, I think it's fun to watch. And then you have this beautiful bloom in your house for on your table or on your centerpiece.
And so, you know, these, you were saying, you pot it up, comes with the pot and the soil. But the amaryllis, you can even get them now. You don't have to do anything to them. You don't even have to pot them. You can just take the bulb. And so you got a couple here.
These are wax covered, correct?
They are dipped in wax.
Yeah.
This one happens to be dipped in wax, and then it's covered in some glitter. The other one is dipped in wax, and it has kind of like a little cute little
Polar bear?
sock sleeve kind of thing over them.
Yeah.
And they're designed, you know, they have a little stand. And basically, you just set it on your windowsill and do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
You don't water it, you don't plant it, you don't do anything. You just let it sit there, and it will grow. It'll put up its spike, it'll bloom. You know, it's basically using every ounce of energy it ever has in its bulb to try to support that, and it's not really going to ever do anything again. But
So it's just a one
It's a
year?
one-year deal.
One and done.
It's one and done. Let it do its thing. Bloom. Throw it away. Get a new one next year.
So, and we've done stories on amaryllis before, and you know, you can leave them grow out, take them out of the pot, trim the roots, you know, move them to a larger pot, and then comes the challenge of trying to get them to rebloom again, which means you would have to, I think in August, cut the leaves off, put it in your refrigerator for a couple weeks, and it becomes, just get a new bulb.
New one.
There you go.
Just
Get a new
don't.
bulb.
They're not that
Yeah.
expensive. Just
And it's
just
a good
toss it.
gift to have, you know, for somebody, you know, if they want to experiment, it's a good gift for them if they want to experiment. So.
You know, and another one that's, you know, kind of similar to the amaryllis that a lot of people do in the wintertime are the paper whites. And so the paper whites, you know, are those nice little, very fragrant white little daffodil-y looking kind of blooms. You know, you can always find them, you know, this time of year in little gift boxes, you know, already done up. It's got the pot, it's got the soil, plant the bulbs in there, put them inside, let them come up and bloom.
Yeah.
You can have them, you know, do them now, and you can have them around Christmas time.
So what would you say the fragrance is like? Because some people love them.
Right.
And
Some people think
hate
it
them.
reminds them of like a sweet Hawaiian tropical kind of, you know, plumery, jasmine-y kind of bloom. Others, not so much.
Not so much.
I had
I'm the not so much.
I had one person who said for him, now other people in his house got the good fragrance. He said it smelled like cat pee. And I'm like going, yeah, it's a little stretch, but it is. It is a very fragrant bulb. If you're looking for a scent for the holidays, this can be the one that becomes the signature scent in your house. And if you like that scent, then go for it.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Try it. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have, so we were talking about essential tools before, and essential tools include gloves. And I can't tell you how many boxes of gloves we've gone through. In the past, in fact, 1 year we had one of our sponsors who gave us 10 boxes of gloves, and we were like, oh my gosh, we have to get rid of these. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to keep them. And we were like, no, we have to crates and crates of gloves, and it was the latex covered finger gloves, and we gave those away, and I kept like probably 20 pairs. Within like 3 years, they were all gone because you just wear them out.
You wear through them.
So
So they're nice because they're lightweight.
Yeah.
But you know, you go through them.
Yeah.
But if you really want a pair and you have, you know, a special, you know, female in your life, you know, being a partner, a wife, or a spouse, or a good friend, you know, the Garden Like a Girl gloves are unbelievable. They are very sturdy. You know, the tips on those are made out of Kevlar, so they'll help protect your fingertips, you know, and your nails, because it's very important if you're the female.
Well, for guys too. Yeah.
Right? And then they're also made out of, you know, they're a natural leather. They're a goat skin leather. And the goat skin is nice because it is very soft, but it's also very durable. So even if you're pruning roses and some of that really thorny things, really protects your gloves. And so these have been designed, you know, they come in multiple sizes. You can get them short and longs. But they're very tailored in size to fit your hand.
And they have a sizing thing on their website.
There is a sizing chart, yeah. So it's not one of those one size fits all. And then, but you know, the quality of the stitching and the quality of the material that goes in it is one of those gloves that's going to last you a very long time.
Yeah, and the guys were saying off camera that it's like they have to make them for Garden Like a Dude.
Yeah, right.
We're going to talk to the owner.
So, Tom, get on that, would you?
That's right.
But yeah, so these are wonderful. I know Judy's used a pair before.
Treese has some.
Treese, associate producer Treese has some. Those were like beta tests.
Yes.
And so, and
Yeah.
even then, those lasted like 5 years.
Yeah, they're really
before
nice.
they were.
I bought a pair for my wife last year.
Yeah.
You know, and she loves it, and that's her go-to pair
Yeah.
when we go out to the garden. You know, and they've lasted her. You know, they still look new to this
Yeah.
day, and they
They're
hold
really
up.
nice.
So I'm not sure about you, but Treese thinks that the bands on top keep the dirt out of your gloves. So it's, there's a Velcro,
Little Velcro, yep.
cinch thing. You notice there's a pink logo on there.
Right.
So both Tom and his wife were cancer survivors, and so they give a little portion of the proceeds to cancer funds. But they also do recycled clothing. So, and this I found was very fascinating because we were talking about, you know, everybody's into recycled and trying to, you know, save the planet. These clothes use portions of soda bottles.
Yeah.
So-
Recycled plastic bottles, and the fabrics are so soft.
They're so soft. I have a green one. This is such a pretty color for the holidays because
Yeah.
it's kind of reddish.
Yeah.
And it's a long sleeve t-shirt, which is really nice. And there's some nice logos on the back, and but they fit really great. They're long so that your back isn't out being cold when you're bending over in the garden, and they just fit really nice.
Yeah.
And I think that they've really thought out a lot of things about its fashion, but it's also practicality.
Right.
It's utility use. And a segment of that proceeds also goes to a charity, and they're also putting people to work where
Oh,
they're made,
right.
when they're made. And they also made a hoodie. So I mean, really, you can be like very fashionable in the garden this fall.
And it's, you know, being that it's, you know, Garden Like a Girl, you know, the design and the fit and the cut are for women.
For women, yeah.
shape.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know we always, in our house, you're usually throwing on whatever t-shirt to go out in the garden. Not always the best idea. This is always good because you know where your garden clothes are and you're going to be out and you're going to
Right.
be using them. And they can handle.
Right. They're functional, they're durable,
Work in
they're,
the garden,
they're
yes,
comfortable, and they're stylish.
Yeah.
Right. And there's many colors,
Yep.
and there's t-shirts too. And so really go to the website because there's a special deal there too for the holiday shopping. So we really recommend going to Garden Like a Girl's website and see that.
Yes, and thank you, Garden Like a Girl, because Treese and Judy get to keep these. So,
We get early Christmas
all you have to
presents.
do is
Jeff, we're coming up with our Garden Like a Dude. Like
Yeah, I know, exactly. We also have books here. And so for a lot of gardeners, getting a book is like almost as good as getting a plant. And so let's talk about, well, some of these books here, there are very specific ones. We have one here that's just on native and ornamental conifers in the Pacific Northwest. These, you can get books that are very specific
Right,
to your area.
for whatever
Yeah.
you know
Whatever.
you want to get into. You know,
Yeah.
we've talked about, you know, the seed starting. You can get books on seed starting. You've talked about, you know, the birding and, you know, finding a book just for your area just on birding. You can get a book just on pines, and you'll want to learn about the history of Chief Joseph. I'm sure you can get a book like that.
Bulbs, yes.
Right. This one was kind of caught my eye. Was kind of a fun book I saw on the shelf. It's called Floral Libations. Right. So it's
Holiday entertaining.
right. You know, we kind of get into holiday season, but it's all, you know, drink recipes and how you can incorporate, you know, plants in your yard into your drinks.
Why not?
Right.
There you go.
There was even a book recently called The Drunken Botanist.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And it's along those same lines. And there are a couple others. There's Debbie up in the Seattle area. She wrote a book, very, very fun books to have. But there was also one called Garden Time. So this one here, Teresa and I recently became grandparents.
Borrow it from Wade.
And so people saw this and they're like, oh, this is the perfect gift for Garden Time's producer and owners to, and
so
to be honest with you, our grandson loves it. And we watch him a couple times a week, and this is one of his favorite. So it's a good go-to book for adults and for kids too.
Yeah.
So.
But, you know, that also brings up another point that, you know, the gift for the gardener doesn't have to be limited to adults.
True.
Right.
There is some really great, fun children's gardening tools and wheelbarrows and you know, aprons and things like that to kind of get your kids out in the garden with you to kind of start establishing some of these trends. Let them come out and, you know, use their tools and rake and let them feel part of the process of their yard. So there's some really fun kids gardens though. Don't forget about the children.
And they're cheap labor, I think.
That's right.
So we're going to finish up this segment. Then we're going to come back in a little bit and we'll talk about some other things. But the very last thing we want to talk about in this segment, gift cards.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they don't like gift cards. They think it doesn't show the right kind of emotion or meaning.
It's impersonal.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
sometimes you just can't think of anything. I mean, we've given you so many ideas here, but sometimes you just can't think of what is the best idea for that person.
Right. If you want to get them something, but you're not sure which tool they already have or what color, make sure it doesn't work.
Yeah.
A gift card really does go a long ways. You know, gets them in the garden center, gets them inspired. You know, I put on my Christmas list every year. I want a gift certificate for mulch.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Right,
a great one.
and I love it. It's one of those things that, you know, I know that every year I can go down and get my pickup load of mulch for my garden, and it's a nice treat for me. But it's, you know, the same kind of thing is you can get a gift card for, you know, any of your, you know, independent garden centers for picking up. They're all loaded, and, you know, or if you need to pick one up for sending it to somebody that's, you know, away and not that you're not by, you can get online and order a gift card from that garden center to have ready for them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
Because we were talking about mulch. Grimm's Fuel locally has sponsored our show, and they come out and actually blow it in. So so what a great gift that they're going to be appreciative on Christmas Day and then in the spring if they're not shoveling. So, but yeah, so check with their favorite business. And speaking of gift cards, a lot of kids would like to get something, and so you can have children that actually they can make their own gift cards. I'm going to help Grandma 2 days on weeding.
Nice, yeah.
I'm going, you know, Mom and Dad. I'm going to help plant. You know, I'm going to help plant the
Veg
garden,
garden,
and I'm going to plant stuff that I like. So they will plant the garden. They will help keep it clean, and then they're going to be able to enjoy it because they're planting food that they like, that they can harvest later. So, and who doesn't like flowers anyway, too?
Definitely.
So what we'll do is, Judy, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying we couldn't pull them in, but like there's other ideas too. So like, what about a fire pit? Or
Well, we're going to come back.
we're gonna
So we're going to take one more break.
Okay.
Here from Capital Subaru, and when we come back, we're going to fill you in on some of the things that we couldn't fit on the table. So we'll be right back.
At Capital Subaru, we value your time, whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team. Everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
And welcome back to Garden Time. And Judy is jumping the gun,
Sorry.
but so we're going to let her go first. But we covered a lot of stuff here, and these just are meant to give you some ideas. But here's a few more ideas that we can talk about, and we each have a little list here.
Okay. So we started talking about fire pit, and because I think that we're all kind of like cave people in our alter ego, and so a fire pit is really nice. And it's like, sometimes the weather is just right that you just need a little bit of heat to kind of gather around. And there's really cool ones that take pellets, or there's even propane ones, or there's even just wood, like the old-fashioned camping ones. Right. But that's really fun.
Little Baja.
Or chimeneas.
Chimeneas. So they have a clay one, which uses specific fuel, but still it creates that ambiance and stretches that season. You can start earlier enjoying the outdoors and extend it into fall, and sometimes even winter, so depending on what you have. So,
and I think that that's really a fun thing to have. And then weather station. I think we all geek out about the weather. We're always like, what's going on and what's going on? And so have your own weather station. You don't have to tune in to your phone or the internet or watch the news, whatever you get your weather from. You can have your very own weather station right in your house, and you can have it hooked up to your garden. I think that's really cool. And then why don't we have hammocks in our garden to enjoy? Well, see, good for you. And you have one too.
Yes,
I have nowhere to put one in my garden. But I think that's really the ultimate kind of gift, is to have the gift of relaxation in your garden in a hammock.
These great things in your yard. Get out there, and once you're enjoyed it and you're done, enjoy it.
Yes, definitely. Oh,
but in addition to, a lot of people, they grill outside. You're cooking, and a lot of people found out during COVID that you had to kind of create your own entertainment, because a lot of times places were closed or people didn't feel safe. And so grills, a lot of people found out then, or may have worn out their grill. So depending on your budget, maybe even a little grill for outside that allows your family and your friends to now gather and cook, lay in the hammock, watch the weather. And you mentioned weather things. I mean, even little rain gauges that you can get for the garden, sundials, that kind of stuff, bird baths. Yeah, so all those...
soil thermometer.
I mean, all those enhance that outdoor area so that you can
even get like patio sets that have like the grill in the center.
Yeah, those are great.
So or the fire pit in the center, so you're sitting around and serves multiple purposes.
And speaking of furniture, outdoor furniture, we're at Al's, and we're in their new wine area, which will be opening soon. You guys carry a full range of furniture.
Yes.
And I know Terry has talked to us about the importance of buying quality, and a lot of times people can get sticker shock. But it's really important, isn't it, to...
It's like buying any other furniture for your home. I mean, you're going to use it, and plus it's going to be out in the weather. I mean, who has a space to put away all of your deck furniture? There's no space. So cover it, and make sure you do that. But I think you buy good quality. You make sure that it's got good welds to it. It's got the webbing for the cushions. The cushions have sunblock on them, or they're good, ultraviolet material. They're water repellent. There's all those things, and I think if you go to a great garden center, or you go to a good furniture store, they'll have all that information for you. And they're also beautiful. It's like my indoor furniture is really outdoor furniture, but it looks so nice. I have it in my home. And it's lasted 15 years now, and it's still nice. But I think that is true, is to get good quality. And you'll be happy with it.
And as a gardener, you've spent all this time in the garden. You really want a good, comfortable place to enjoy all that work you've done. So good furniture, spending the money or doing your research first makes all the difference. So,
definitely.
Ryan, what do you have on your list?
Why we're out and enjoying it in our hammock and our patio furniture, there's fountains or another make a great gift. It's that running water and that sound that when you're out in the garden, and we've done some great spots with the Terra Costa.
Yes.
In the past, and Terra Costa is a great little garden center here in the Portland metro area. And they make and customize every kind of outdoor fountain you could take. They'll take a lot of the ceramic pottery pots and turn it into a fountain. Just having that water and that movement and that sound. So you can get them anywhere from just a little tabletop kind of fountain into just full scale, large pieces. But a lot of your independent garden centers will carry some, and if you're out and about, Terra Costa's worth going out to seeing all of our great stuff out there. And a couple other gifts that would work well is, it's your journaling. A lot of people like to be in the garden, and they're taking notes of what's working, what's not working. It's nice. So you can get a landscape or a garden journal. It's an inexpensive kind of thing, but it's kind of a nice little gift where you can put some pictures in there, take some notes of what's working in your garden, so you can come back and take that. And and after you've taken some pictures, there's some fun like photos.
Oh, Well,
right? You either get
take a
buy
lot.
pictures of art kind of pictures that you can have, or yard art kind of things that you can hang on walls, or frame some of the pictures of somebody's yard and give them a personalized gift of something a little bit more personalized.
Well, and I like the digital frames. So for those people who their relatives may have been on a Garden Time tour to Europe, have all these pictures of Europe. What a great gift if you gave them a digital frame where all these gardens that they visited, or even their own garden if they didn't travel, are constantly going through.
yeah,
And in the
right.
middle of winter, seeing your garden in full bloom, it's got to be spectacular.
Especially here in the Northwest,
Yes.
we get a lot of gray, dreary days.
Yes.
It's
Nice.
nice to have a little remembrance of what happened in the summer.
That hope for the spring.
Yes.
Right? And then if you're thinking of people, subscriptions are a great gift. Either like a magazine subscription. So there's a lot of those to pick out your favorite gardening magazines that will come. A lot of them can either come digitally, so you get the fresh copy, or you can still get them mailed. But subscriptions are great. You can also get subscriptions for plants, right? So there's some garden centers and nurseries will have a plant of the month subscription, or built containers that you can swap out every few months for the seasons and do a subscription. So they'll get a new patio planter or whatever comes up, you just drop it in your pot. So that's kind of a fun thing to think about. And then there's also, you look into, there's a lot of, locally botanic gardens, and, like the Japanese gardens, Chinese gardens, lilac gardens, these places are some, phenomenal assets to our local communities. They're these little oases that we kind of tend to forget. But these botanic gardens are great. They're always changing throughout the years. Membership to those, somebody supports the garden, and it gives them a nice outing that they can go out and just I'm going to do the gardens today. So most cities and places will have their own kind of botanic gardens or gardens like that they can go to. So that's another great gift.
Yeah, because here when our kids were little, the big thing was the Children's Museum and the zoo, and
Right.
you always had
Yeah.
memberships as a family.
Right.
Why not continue that for
Right.
the plant lover? I mean, here locally we have
Yeah.
the Oregon Garden in
Right.
Silverton. We have Lansu Chinese
Chinese.
Garden. We have the Portland Japanese
Japanese
Garden.
garden.
And those are just three of them right
Oh,
off the
yeah,
top.
right.
Leech.
Right.
Leech,
There's a
botanical.
bunch of them. And even then, even just taking, a promise to take them to a garden, any kind of garden.
Right.
That's a nice IOU,
So,
yeah.
the Washington Park
Yeah.
Rose Test Garden
Or
at Rose Festival time would be a perfect gift.
Pretty soon.
Yeah.
Or even to volunteer your time, the gift of your time. That's kind of
Right.
a turnaround, but kind of do that too. And that's a gift to you to give to that garden,
Right.
Yeah.
which is a nice thing to do.
Excellent, excellent. Wow, we've covered a lot. Boy, I'm glad we don't have the. I know. I mean, we had always the time limit when we
Oh,
did
right.
the TV
Right.
show.
4 minutes.
Try to squeeze everything in 4 minutes. We hope that this kind of gave you a little bit of a lead on gifts you can get for the gardener or for yourself, because giving gifts to yourself is always a good thing too.
love that.
Yeah. So
Some things I'm not putting on my Christmas list. I know that.
yeah, get that gift card. So we recommend that, if you've seen stuff that you like, go visit your local independent garden center. We're pretty sure they're going to have a lot of these same things there. If not, you can always go online and find places that will send you gifts. And
Oh, yeah,
you can
definitely.
like Garden Like a Girl. Some of them have holiday specials, so you would want to check out the websites. If you have any questions at all, we always welcome. You can go to gardentime.tv and check out our archive there of previous stories we did on the TV show. Or you can just send us questions, topics you'd like to hear about. Once again, we want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, and thank you to Capital Subaru in Salem. They've been great sponsors of the TV show and now the podcast. But we hope you have a wonderful time with friends and family, and we look forward to seeing you again on our next podcast. Happy gardening.
Start your new Subaru story at Capital Subaru. We are like nothing else in Oregon. From the moment you step through these doors, you see it, you feel it. We do things differently here. Our people, our culture, our customer experience. Tell us what you're looking for, and we'll upgrade the way you shop for Subarus. When you're just browsing, need great service, or starting your next adventure, we're always here for you. It's your story at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.